Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming by to have a listen to our speaker promotional section for the 25th Australian Aussie Conference, the FAA Astrology Conference. So today we're lucky enough to have Cameron Allen come by and talk about his 3 lectures and 1 post-conference workshop. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about get to know Alan. So let's get started. Alan, Cameron, thanks so much for stopping by.
Hey, it's nice to be here. I'm super excited about coming out to the conference and really excited about these lectures too as well. So I'm curious to see how they all blossom forth when they're like in with each other in the same room, in the same space, which is like my favorite part of everything.
Absolutely, I totally get that. So you have 3 lectures. We'll first start with where are you coming from today?
Yeah, today I'm in Los Angeles, California. My siblings live out here, and I did some stuff in Arizona, and I'm about to do a conference next week in outside of San Diego. So I'm in LA right now.
Great, fantastic. So your afternoon, our morning here in Brisbane, Australia. So I'm Vanessa Montgomery from Astro All Stars doing this online section. So let's talk about your lectures. You've got 3. I'm just pulling them up on the speaker section of the conference website, everyone, faainc.org.au. There's a great speaker list. You can click on people's bio and you'll learn a little bit more about them. You can go to their lectures, what they're about, and our conferences as well. So let's start with utilising traditional astrology in an evolutionary astrology context. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one because it's something that has been kind of just blossoming forth in me as I've like learned traditional astrology.
Mm.
Like, in what ways are evolutionary astrology and traditional astrology the same? How is their philosophical backdrop totally different? And how can they actually come together in a harmonious way that can add to the tradition, right? Because evolutionary astrology is like kind of its own thing, traditional astrology is its own thing. But really, when we look at it, in 100 years from now, all of it will just be considered a part of a tradition. And so it's just kind of exploring how can we try to gaze deep into the soul and dream into the chart while also concretely looking at the chart in ways in which we can say things that will happen and materialize in reality. So, it's kind of the play of material, concrete astrology and like things having to do with the nature of the soul.
Great. Sounds amazing. And 2 burgeoning fields that I guess the mainstay, modern astrology, which I'm a modern astrologer as well, they're really coming in, aren't they? The evolutionary and very much the traditional. So I'm excited about your talk because we're all interested in this topic, and here we are all working out how these are going to mesh together. Exactly. How about the second of 3 talks is reuniting medical astrology with its medicinal sister? Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this one has been a long time coming because even in my practice, I've mainly practiced medical astrology, but in some ways, I've started calling it holistic health and astrology because when people call it medical astrology, it kind of has this like, oh, like you better have a PhD kind of energy to it. And what I realized over the past few years is that when we say medical astrology, we're not talking about modern biomedical perspectives. We're actually talking about a whole system of medicine that exists unto itself, which is the Greco-Arabic medicine that we call Unani Tib. And a lot of times when we look at astrology in general, but also in medical astrology, we talk about the elements, we talk about the humors, the temperaments. And a lot of people know what the temperaments are, but one thing that's missing is that we don't know the temperaments belong to a whole system of medicine unto itself. And so just reuniting astrology back with that medicine system in a way that is digestible so that people can also like start to like explore what medical astrology really is beyond a more biomedical modern western perspective of it, even though that can be added into it as well.
Absolutely. Very interesting. Yeah, it's a huge history there. So it's great that all of these things are coming back in. Great conference material too, I have to say. A simple and effective way to access severity in medical astrology. So this is your 3rd of 3 lectures. So this sounds
Mhm.
like it's sort of building on what you've talked about in the second one, or it's definitely in that
Exactly.
ballpark. Tell us a bit about it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly building on the second one. And when I first started practicing medical astrology, there weren't that many timing techniques really involved in it that were beyond transits. Sometimes people use progressions and things like that, but I found over time that I could see like when things were going to happen way easier with, like, I guess we say regular natal astrology, and it was more difficult with medical astrology.
Mm,
And so basically what we're going to do is look at how we can use the natal chart, the timing technique called annual profections, and then also the timing technique of solar returns to be able to assess like when is something potentially going to be a problem, right?
mm,
If somebody has something in their natal chart, they're like, oh no, I have this problem. And it's like, are you really going to have this problem every year of your life? Most likely not. And if
mm,
you just look at your natal chart and then you look at transits, you might start to freak yourself out a little bit there. So just giving people
mm.
like a very simple way of looking at it where we can look at these concentric circles. We can think of it as turning the dial on the magnifying glass to really get in there and see like, is this problem going to potentially manifest this year in a more severe way than all these other years? Or like when is something going to actually be a problem? But in a
Great,
way that's
very practical. That sounds super practical and really getting into people's individual charts as well. So
exactly.
I think people should definitely bring their chart and they can have a little scoot in there while you're speaking, it sounds like, and just sort of ground
Yeah.
it into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
then to finalize it off for your tour down under is the workshop. So that's a post-conference half-day workshop, making your astrology medicinal. So we're doing a good, strong
Mhm.
medicinal deep dive in this one. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people that I work with, either they are like aromatherapists or body workers
Mm,
and things like that, and they need to learn more astrology. But a lot of times astrologers still just want to have like a very simple toolkit in order to like give people suggestions. It's like, okay, I can see all this stuff happening, but sometimes like beyond just the psychological perspective, like what is a solution that I can give someone? Right?
mm,
So helping people open up their mind to that way of thinking about things, and I will be talking about, I guess what we call like astrological medicine cabinet,
yeah.
right? And just like something as simple as if I notice someone has no earth in their chart, how many practices do you have in your astrological medicine cabinet to implement earth into that person's existence,
Yeah.
right? What are the suggestions that you give to people who need to work with water when they have a lot of water in their chart? Right? What are the
Mm,
things that you can do to ignite the fire in somebody's chart? So we'll start there, like probably like really simple with the elements, but then we'll go to the signs as well. Like what types of exercise, what types of movement would be helpful for the signs. Maybe we'll go to herbs a little bit there too. And then we can also even talk about something as simple as environments. Like what
yeah.
environments might enhance signs or decrease signs, and being able to see when we need to increase or decrease based off of like what we're looking at in the charts. So that's the, and it probably also will have like remediation from the perspective of like books too, like getting people to have a book list, a movement, an herb, a type of bath for each zodiac sign, for each element. And if we start to do that, then we can pile that up through time and allow
Absolutely.
ourselves to be like, hey, like I don't know everything about like medical astrology, or I'm not a doctor, but I can give you these tips and tools, because sometimes the most profound things I've told people is just like, hey, like you really should be sipping hot water. And like 2 years later, they're like, oh my gosh, like sipping hot water has become like such a like valuable part of my life. And it's like, wow, that little thing that you can just give to somebody as a practice or a tool can be so profound.
Absolutely. Well, again, extremely practical. And how should people prepare? What should people bring with them to the workshop?
I would say be ready to move your body, and also be ready to learn how to think and not get so concretized in like it has to be this way, it has to be that way.
Yeah.
And knowing that a lot of these things is going to have to do with how are you embodying these experiences in your life so that you can share it from a place of this is what I've experienced from this process, rather than it being like I have to have a PhD. It's like, okay, like I know these 3 breathing exercises, I always do these 3, and so this is my invitation to you. Like, this is how I practice it. And so here's my gift to you along with this astrology reading.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so to ground it, something practical and personal. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this. So these sound great. 3 lectures and a workshop. So tell us a bit more about you and your practice to wrap up. And also reminding everyone you have to book by the end of November. This is live, in person only. Great, fun, friendly community. We have lecturers like Alan Cameron coming in from all corners of the globe. We've got local people, including me. We've got other people in parts of Australia. It's an international conference every 2 years. Fantastic. Do come along. So book through that website, faainc.org.au. Check it out. Check out the speakers. The whole itinerary is up now, the speaker schedule. There's a party on the Saturday night because our Pluto and Leo people are still holding the fort down and they like to have a dress-up party. So we are doing that. So do come along. So more about you, Alan. Obviously, you've said there's quite a focus on the medical side of things and clearly very practical and personal as well. So what else would you have to share with us before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would say just it's been such an interesting journey of like learning medical astrology, then evolutionary astrology, then traditional astrology, and how I infuse them together with all the different healing modalities that I work with. Like right now, I'm in school for Ayurveda. I have 200
Mm,
hours in Kundalini yoga. I'm also in another yoga program. I went back to like with the medicinal sister piece, I went back and got like a level 1 training in Unani Tib medicine, and I'm going to move forward with that. And so just really inviting people to see, like one of my teachers keeps like encouraging me to share that like when you work with me and the way I work, it's like working with multiple practitioners in one.
mm,
And so that's something that I like really, really hold like dear to my heart, because I do call my work holistic health and astrology.
yes.
So it includes the body, the emotions, the psychology, the spiritual, and then also just like the practical material as well, right? Just like
Yeah.
concrete, are you going to move in 2 months kind of vibe. So it's like really trying to take the whole gambit and be able to, yeah, hold all of those things in this like very dynamic way. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, super interesting. And astrology lends itself so well to those. I love this Ayurveda and yoga idea because the elements just cross over, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much for dropping by. I so look forward to meeting you at the conference and catching some of your talks, if not your workshop as well. Everyone, do come along. You'll get to see Cameron and the rest of our speakers. Fantastic crew, fantastic itinerary. You're going to learn a lot. For all levels, you can pick and choose. There's a few streams happening at once. So beginner to advanced, there is something for you. So thank you so much. Have a great day, Cameron. See you in January.
Yeah, stay
And
blessed. See you soon.
everyone watching, we'll see you in January too. This is Vanessa Montgomery, and bye for now. We'll just stop
Peace.
the recording.